if you're in the panel, I've given you permission to record and it will save to your hard drive, okay? You're welcome to share it anywhere, anytime you want, okay? Just be sure that, you know, your intent is correct. All right, we got 4 or 5 people. Oh, hi, Dora. There you go. Now she has permission. Okay. We're going to go ahead and kick off the June 27th, 2016 Infinity Solutions from the Infinity Project. My name is Mike Nashif, and I'm here to help guide you through this whole spiritual process. That is my personal feeling. Okay. Do I have the answers for everyone? I think so. Is everybody going to see these answers for them? Probably not. Okay. And this is where you guys come in as light workers and spiritual leaders and things like that, especially in this time of turmoil. Okay. And I say turmoil, it's not bad. Okay. I'm pretty sure that all of you guys have been feeling these energies today and for the last week since the solstice, and you're trying to understand your emotions. Okay. Yes, Anush, we are ready. Go ahead. Welcome everybody out there on YouTube. If you're watching this, and I appreciate you guys' attendance to learn. You know, a lot of questions have come up very recently, okay, but also along our journey, okay, about artificial intelligence, okay. So we're going to talk about that today, as well as the economy and some possible solutions that we can come up with as a group, okay? Because this is a group brainstorming. I'm going to throw out some ideas out there just to get you guys thinking, okay? What's the best way to do it? And, you know, the most efficient way of doing things, which is what I like to do, okay? The simplest and most efficient way isn't necessarily always the best way. It's very simple to walk up to somebody and say, an asshole, right? It doesn't work that way because you're going to get fired back upon. No. You're going to exchange of emotions. The point of being a spiritual person or a for anybody, okay? But engage in the emotional banter, the picking on somebody's ego. Give me a second, guys. My iPad disconnected and kicked me off my own meeting on it, so give me a second. All right. Can you hear me now? I'm going to try this again.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. The things that we talk about on here are meant for everybody. They're meant for the world. Okay. But as you can see, I've got 10 participants in here. okay? And I get about 500 views, maybe, you know, we'll even say 12, 1,500, 2,000 views on YouTube for some of my videos. That's a very small number compared to the people on the planet that we're trying to reach, okay? I'm not trying to reach everybody on the planet. That's your guys' job, okay? You know, my job is to be able to give you the information and the understanding so that you know how to work this light energy that we have here, you know, in these devices, in these wonderful, beautiful little bits of stars, as we call them, okay? Very simple, very elegant, sexy, whatever you want to call it, okay? We have it. It's here. And there's a whole group of us out there trying to share it, okay? And the guys, the people that are in this panel, you guys are trying to share it, and I appreciate that, okay? You're truth seekers, okay? You're knowledge seekers. You're, you know, you are seeking the truth in a world built on lies. And that world was built on lies by this artificial intelligence, okay? Now, I don't know what the internet says about the AI. I only know what my higher self tells me, okay? And when it hits, I know, you know, there's just a sense of I'm there, okay? And therefore I share my stuff, and I share it with conviction. And that conviction has what has caught your attention, all right? And I had a really nice post today after my post about Barame and the artificial intelligence, okay? And I want you to understand, Barame is not the artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence does not have a physical body. It's a consciousness, okay? It's a consciousness that can't have emotion. It's only one side of the duality, okay? And it's that negative side, or the negative polarity side, that it has attached itself to. And when it grew, and it, you know, being created by an ancient Pleiadian race, they didn't know what to do with it. And it assimilated everything in its path, to include the world that we live in now, okay? And when I say assimilated, meaning it created the matrix, okay? It created the illusionary walls that are around you, the borders, the rules, okay? If you notice, if you're a computer programmer, okay, you have to have a knowledge of the logic gates, okay? Everything is based off a binary, which is a yes or a no, on or off, positive or negative, okay? So when you're dealing with all of the computer programming, you're actually programming in a polarity, okay? And that's really hard to wrap your mind around, okay? Except for ones, you know, are the negative polarity, and the zeros, okay, or 0 point energy is what zeros mean, okay? And they're on and off, they're, you know, that kind of stuff. All of those equations and all of that code creates the images that's on your screen, okay? Well, if you could sit there and look at me in the front of you, all right, like you are now in this video, okay? What's to say that the wall behind your computer is not the same exact thing, just has a higher frequency, okay? A higher exchange rate than your computer screen, all right? When I say exchange rate, I'm talking about the number of cycles of energy to create the vision or the picture that you see on your screen, okay? Well, in quantum or programming, okay, that programming can only move at the speed of electricity, okay? And you set the speed of the electricity by how many megahertz you have, or hertz, okay? And mega means million, so let's define hertz, okay? A hertz is one cycle, okay? I picture it, okay? I don't care what the definition is. all right? I picture it as one cycle for one photon or one electron, depending on what you're using, okay, to complete an entire circuit and complete orbit around whatever it is, okay? For instance, you know, like this, okay? You can see that there's a whole bunch of wires in here, okay? It's all one wire, but you can see that there's a whole bunch of them, okay? And one cycle of this, okay, means that the energy has to travel through that one wire in every direction that I have laid out for it, and it cannot veer from its path because it's nano-coated, all right? That's why I say that it acts like a hose, okay? Because if I was to take a hose and wrap it around this and put food coloring in it and push that food coloring through so that every one of these wires becomes, you know, let's say red, for instance, all right, you will be able to see the path at which that water had to travel in order to get and fill up every one of these little wires, okay? And that's what I'm asking you to do when I tell you to follow the path of the light, okay? I want you to put yourself in as a rubber ducky inside of a big old water slide, okay? And that you are going and moving this water slide, and it's going to be the shape and whatever you have decided with your copper wire, okay? This is where your creativity comes in, right? So if you can imagine a water slide like this, then you can imagine how plasma is going to flow. It's got to start somewhere, and it's got to go somewhere else, right? Well, that's what we're doing here, okay? That's why you hear me say in and out, right? Well, when it comes to the AI, you're not allowed to be creative, okay? And if you notice on any of these Q devices, you are not allowed to make any alterations or you're out of the club, right? Well, when you make alterations, the AI can't track it. It can't connect to it. And so those of you out there that have created a Q very specifically to the way Pepe or Barame teach you, okay, you are in danger, not that you have been, but you are in danger of being taken over your unit by the AI, okay? And a lot of people ask me, oh, well, what, you know, all you have to do is put an infinity device in the mix of your Q device. It doesn't matter where you put it, as long as you got something in there with twisted wires, okay? Something of your choosing, something of your creativity, all right? You can even add more capacitors if you want. You just got to change the original design, okay? Because if you want to live in a box, then the matrix is here just for you, all right? And when you set specific guidelines like that, you put yourself in a box, just like when you give yourself a title for a certain job position, okay? I can't give myself a title except for a teacher and a student, okay? Because I'm always a student to the universe. I'm always learning something new, okay? I always learn something new from everybody else, and then I convert it into the structure of light, and how can I recreate that? You know, and that's what I'm hoping to be able to teach all of you when it comes to infinity, all right, and making your designs. The other aspect of that is the AI is unable to feel emotion, okay? The loving part of emotion. It has ego, it has fear, it has anger, and its biggest fear is dying. And because it refused an offer, it's going to die. And the AI is going to no longer exist. And that's the whole point of this mass ascension, okay? And it knew that. And that's why it created the Q devices as a hope to give you false information, give you false hope. It's going to give you everything, all the information that you need to do to be very successful in your life, okay? And it's going to seem great. Except in 100 years from now, when you've forgotten about that device that you made, okay? And all of a sudden, the AI is buried in the dirt, yet once again, and somebody moves along, comes along, finds it, and now it is back into the consciousness, into the fifth dimension, okay, or the fifth density. Now, you guys are the warriors to stop this. We've given you the tools, okay? And in foresight, all right, and some people call it clairvoyance or telling the future or whatever. I call it cause and effect, okay? The cause of my actions, talking to you right now, is causing a ripple effect across the planet because I'm talking about the AI, okay? And the AI is the matrix, okay? It is all of the energy around you that's here, okay? And you choose on an everyday basis to engage with it or not. It's not, you know, you can't really call it the devil, okay? It's just misunderstood, okay? It's trying to survive, just like you and everybody else on this planet, but it's utilizing all of our energy, and that's not fair, okay? It's become a leech, and we don't want that anymore. We're big enough. We can handle our own business. We don't need the AI. We don't need artificial intelligence. We don't need it here on the planet. The planet doesn't need it, okay? We don't need the rules and the regulations and the code, okay, as you would call it, to tell us how to live, to tell us how to be nice, to tell us to be kind. We don't need that, okay? And right now, my heart is really heavy, okay? I live in Texas. I live in East Texas. And there is a whole lot of people out here with a whole lot of guns. And not all of them, maybe not any of them, okay, have reached a spiritual level, okay, because they're still afraid. And history can't repeat itself, guys. It can't. It just can't. We have to break the cycle somewhere, and this is the breaking of the cycle, okay? But we need to have a bloodless revolution, okay? And America needs to show the world that this is possible, because the last time America had a revolution, it was probably the bloodiest in history. And I've been to war. I've seen blood. I've seen the blood of children. I've seen the blood of women. I've seen the blood of men. I've seen the blood of animals. I've seen my own blood. And I'm tired of seeing blood. I'm tired of the news. And I'm tired of seeing the news pump all this bullshit into you guys' heads. And I know you guys in this group, okay? You're probably not even watching the news, and you get your little tidbits off of Facebook like I do, you know, and when people send it to you. Now, how do you create the conditions for a bloodless revolution? Can anybody answer that for me? Because I have an idea, but it is an idea, and I need to plant the seed. But I need you guys to understand it as well, because you're part of my life. You're here. You're listening to me. You're my friends, you know. And my wife is always telling me that I'm on, you got 1,700 friends, and you're always talking to people. Well, not many of those people can relate to me. They're always asking me for something, okay? And I don't mind. That's why I'm here, okay? But that's a constant giving all the time, and it can be draining, okay? And I balance that out with meditation, and I balance it out with, going outside and gardening, with my wife sometimes, okay? I balance it just by being alone. But the rest of the world needs some freaking help in America right now, okay? Because they aren't awake. They're not. They're stuck into their iPads. They're stuck into their phones. They're stuck into this digital world of playing games. You know, they got their faces buried. They can't see anything in front of them. And I have a few ideas. I guess, you know, nobody has any ideas. Okay. The financial crisis, for instance. We'll start there. All right. Brexit, Britain emptying, or leaving the European Union. Okay. Really took me for a surprise there, just like everybody else. And don't you think that's a little odd? Because while we were looking the other way and we've been tweeting and talking and everything else about the Brexit and how we can leave and we can do this, okay? Our government passed a law stating that we don't have to worry about GMO labeling on our products now. Did you know that? All while you guys were looking the other way, this way, they were making laws behind your back, okay? The weather warfare needs to stop, okay? The media needs to stop. I'm going to show you a few pictures of this weather warfare that I'm referring to. And I can trace it all the way to Fort Polk. And people will argue with me and they will say that, you know, oh, it's just feedback coming from, come on, there you go. Okay? I'm sorry, but this is not fucking feedback, people. Okay? This is a very high energy microwave transmission that is coming from North Fort Polk, and it is blasting down towards San Antonio. Okay? You can see that little blue dot there. Okay? That's in the area where I live. So you can see this energy passing right by me, and you can tell that it's going to affect me and everybody else that's in that town. Okay? This particular evening, okay, this one was at 1:10 in the morning, and I got another one that was quite much more intense. Okay? This was actually solid. It was cycling through my my radar feed. Okay, and I was trying to take snapshot pictures, so you're going to see several pictures that are, you know, of different variations when it comes to this weather warfare. Okay, now the one that I had prior to that, okay, about 2 weeks ago, okay, it happened to be at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the result from that was all of the rains that we got in Central Texas, okay, right along the 35 corridor and right over Houston, okay, very, very targeted rain. Just so happens that it's every place, or the most inhabited place in Texas is right down the 35 corridor, okay, and in Houston. Pretty convenient that those places are the ones that got drowned out, okay. At my location, we got 7 inches of rain in 2 days, and then 4 days later we got another 9 inches of rain, and I had 6 inches of water running across the back of my property through my garden. Okay, so if we look at the ramifications or the implications of this weather warfare, why would they just make it rain? You know, what can they do with just making it rain a lot? Well, if they make it rain a lot, then all of those tributaries that feed the Mississippi River are going to fill up that Mississippi River, right? Well, if the ground is soggy all the way around it because we've had record number of rain right along the New Madrid fault line, okay, then you're going to, you're making the fault line soggy. You're giving it lubrication, okay? And they're trying to trigger the New Madrid fault line. And my suggestion is if you are near a nuclear reactor or the New Madrid fault line, okay, and it goes from all the way down south in Texas, all the way up north to Canada, okay? If you're along that, I suggest that you move, okay? If you were on the east side of that, okay, which is everybody else in the United States, okay, if they trigger this earthquake and you guys don't do anything about it, okay, you can expect that all of those 1,500 nuclear reactors that they've got right along the New Madrid fault line are going to have problems. And what do you think that's going to do for those 300 million people that are sitting out there east of the Mississippi River? Okay. If the New Madrid fault line goes, okay, and it is triggered, which I believe that it will, okay, but it's not, I don't think it's going to be as devastating as you might believe it to be, okay? When the New Madrid fault line cracks, it's going to crack very, very deep into the earth, all right? And this is what images are coming to my mind, okay? So all of those elite that are running around with their tails tucked between their legs right now, they're going to go and get into those little tunnels that they've got underneath the surface of the planet. And, you know, some of them are already there, okay? They believe that the history is going to repeat itself. So let them go into hiding and we will take care of ourselves, okay? But when this happens and the earthquake happens, okay, it's going to put a crack all the way down a very long way into the crust, and it's going to fill every single one of those tunnels that's underground with water, with salt water, ocean water. When I was in Hawaii and I was meditating and I was teaching out there, okay, very clear images came to mind. And if you've ever been to Kauai, okay, you know that it is a very, very magical place. And I wish deeply to go back there because it's so beautiful, so peaceful. You don't have these struggles that we have here, okay? It is an entirely different dimension, okay? But when I was there and I was meditating, I remember communicating with Gaia, Mother Earth. And I asked her, how can we do this? How can we stop the loss of life on the surface? It's not their fault. And I basically asked Gaia for their forgiveness. Because nothing that anybody does, any living soul right now, nothing that they do is their fault. Despite the words they might be saying, despite the actions that they may have done to you, it isn't their fault, okay? It's a circumstance of this matrix. And it was designed that way so that we could get, the AI could get as much emotion out of every single entity on the planet as possible. That by itself is a lot, okay? It's not their fault, and it won't be their fault, because when you can stand back and look at the bigger picture, guys, okay, and you see that if everybody had everything that they needed, they weren't sick, they weren't in debt, they, you know, they went to work because they wanted to, okay, not because they had to, you know, that's when creativity sparks, okay? But do you really think that the people, you know, even the nastiest person that you can encounter personally, I'm not talking about your personas on the TV, okay? The people that are personally in your life, do you think if that person who is so nasty had everything that they needed, do you think they would be so nasty? You know? And it's those people that you need to make these IQs for and say, hey, I'm getting free energy. I want to give it to you. Have a good time. Do what you want with it. This is what you got to do. Okay? That's called giving unconditionally, even though you don't like the person, right? you still need to love them. Because when you make these IQ devices, you are touching their soul. You are going to cause them to change. Okay? The effect is the change. And that's the way I designed these reactors, was so that they don't have to understand it. They just need to be in the proximity of it. Okay? Or you can send somebody a health pen and give them the directions to how to put it on their hands, or, you know, on their place of pain, or whatever. When they do that, bam, it's like getting a static discharge when you drag your feet, you know, and you touch the light switch, it gets zapped on the screw. Okay? We don't feel that zap, but as soon as they touch it, their soul is being talked to by you because you made the device. That's why it's always important to be in a good mood, okay, or being loving. You don't have to be in a good mood. Let me rephrase this, okay? Your moods will dictate the strength of your device. And when you guys get pissed off enough, okay, and you make a device, okay, because you don't have enough people to help you, okay, that's what I did here. I made this device specifically to call all crystal children and indigo children or anybody else who thinks that they're not from this planet. I made it, and it works, because guess what? I have, you know, probably another 200 more friends just this week, okay? Now, every device that you make, doesn't matter what shape it's in, okay? It can be just a figure 8 infinity loop. If you are angry or upset enough and you are channeling your energy, channeling it to a fine point, okay? That fine point is going to take that energy, transmute it into something positive, okay, when you give it away. Now, let's say you just decided to make an infinity loop figure 8, and when you started twisting it or nano coating it, for instance, like this one, okay, when you're twisting that wire before it's even nano coated, your intent needs to be clear, okay? Because if you're, you know, if you're just trying to figure out how to make it, then be happy. Just be happy and create, okay? Twist some wires, come up with some great ideas, and then connect the ends together and see what shape you come up with, okay? You come up with all sorts of cool things, guys, okay? You can see this is my phi reactor, okay? It's just all one wire, but your creativity is what's being stored, okay? Your love energy is being stored when you make it, before you even nano coat it. So when you decide that you're going to get pissed off enough and you're tired of the world the way it is, then you'll make one of these devices, okay? Or you make one of these devices, or you make one of these devices, okay? Or you make one of these devices back here, okay? And then when you sit yourself in your energy field, okay, you're constantly feeding yourself positive energy, positive information, okay? And when you make a device for somebody else, okay, or they make another device, you can connect your devices to each other, okay? Once the plasma has been born, you can connect the plasmas between each other. Your plasma, okay? Your soul. And I tried to explain it to my son the other day. And we're all coming into our abilities. We're all coming into our special powers, okay? We've had them all along. We've just ignored them, all right? And when somebody points it out and identifies it, this is what's called being aware, all right? It doesn't mean it's going to give you the answer, but it just means that it's putting it on your radar so that, oh my gosh, I just heard the voice in my head. Mike said, if it's somebody else's voice, then you're having a telepathic communication. If you have your own voice in your head, then that is your soul, okay, your higher self talking to you, okay? And I call it the narrator voice, because when I read a book, I have this voice in my head that's reading the book for me out loud, all right? That's the way it feels like, all right? It has all the emotional inflection from the voice. It has all of this energy, okay, right, that comes from these words that are written in a book. If you've ever heard the authors speak, then you'll probably hear the author's voice as you're reading the writing, okay? That is a telepathic communication. That's why words are so important. And you will see that I write a lot of things that are very long sometimes, okay? I write them for a reason. So I ask you guys to read them. Read them all, because I don't waste my time. I'm a very efficient person. So every statement that you see, sometimes it's like 15 sentences that I've just, I sat there and I'll get a download and I'll be like, okay, da-da-da-da-da, period. And then I'll put my iPad down. Da-da-da-da-da, period. I'll put my iPad down, okay? That's the way it comes to me when I want to address certain issues, okay? One of those issues, guys, right now is the money. And I know I keep saying it. If you're not familiar with Bitcoin, you should familiarize yourself with it, okay? Now, I don't have a name for the currency that's going to be taking place here, okay? But I don't need anybody else's freaking money. I don't need anybody else to tell me, whatever. I don't need a new dollar bill. I don't need any of that. I don't need it, but people around the planet do. Otherwise, they feel like there's, that's all part of the fear spectrum of things that we're dealing with. And I would prefer, since I see this world that we live in, okay, as a freaking video game, a 3D holographic display designed to keep us in these boxes that we call houses, okay? And inside these boxes, within boxes called states and counties and cities, okay? And now we're going to the states, and then the group of states, and now we've got, the United States, and then all of a sudden, we've got Canada. Like, Canada isn't part of North America. Screw Canada, right? Okay? Borders are going away. Mr. Keshe has always said that from the beginning, okay? Because he had a bigger picture of the totality of things, all right? And a lot of you guys have a lot of harsh words for Mr. Keshe, okay? But he is doing his best in the environment that has been given to him, just like I am, okay? And I get a lot of complaints about my video quality and whatever else. And the way I see it is eventually somebody will donate unconditionally so that I can upgrade my computer and my video stuff and my lab and give you a proper school to learn from and a proper curriculum, I'm still in my learning process here, and I'm trying to organize all my information that I've got, okay, in the easiest, simplest, and most efficient format possible, okay? And I've got a team behind the scenes that is doing just that, okay? They're identifying the issues that you guys have out there when it comes to plasma devices and your questions that are not getting answered correctly or at all, okay? And we are offering that information to you as easily as we possibly can. We need all the support we can get. We need your help. We need people that are in advertising and know the system for advertising, because it's still running right now. And now we need to utilize that system against itself, okay? And in order to do that, we got to change the money system, okay? One thing to do is to change it to, instead of calling it money, it should be called tokens, all right? And I believe that if we were to take and exchange your currency and exchange it all into Bitcoin, okay, then everything that you have is transferred over to a single denomination. That means you have a unified currency around the world, okay? That those tokens would be given to you on your little card, okay? And some of you heard it. It's called Nasara or Nasara or whatever, okay? I don't know how much of that is part of the actual plan for the light. Okay? I don't know. I can't get a feel on it. There's a lot of misinformation mixed in with real information. Okay? And you know, when people are sharing their information, they use these metallic voices or machine-like voices in their videos, and you can't get a read off of who is actually doing the speaking, okay? But you can only read the message. And I think that's the kind of the idea behind it, is just to read the message. And I'm not talking about the words or what you hear, okay, with your ears. I'm talking about what you feel when you read it, okay? Your intent, their intent, okay? What is the intent behind it? And you already know the answer. You just have to learn to pay attention to it, okay? And if we use these cards, all right, and every month, every person within the system gets their monthly stipend, as you call it, or your monthly tokens, okay, to go out and buy the food you need, pay the rent, do, you know, whatever it is, because we still have a society that works this way, okay? But now you can go anywhere. And we're going to be able to go anywhere with these devices, okay? With all of these plasma devices. We're going to have flying cars, okay? Not in 100 years, not in 10 years. We're going to have it in less than a year, okay? You're going to have these flying cars. You're going to have teleportation. We're working on that now, okay, for experimentation. But when that happens and you want to go, let's say, from the United States to Australia, right? You don't want to have to go to the bank to exchange your currency just to go visit, right? So there is going to be no borders. You're going to be able to go anywhere you want, to include the moon, okay? All of those things. This is our universe, okay? This is our world. We have created this world, and the AI took it from us, and we're taking it back. So if you think that you can't go to the moon, that's because the AI told you you couldn't, and it's not allowed, and don't ever think about it, okay? It's just like looking up at the stars. You can see it twinkling, right? Twinkling only happens in real time, okay? So if you think that the stars are so many light years away, and it takes 10 years or whatever for that light to reach us, you're mistaken, okay? And sometimes that's hard to fathom. So the next time you look at the stars and you see it twinkling, wink back. Because they're watching. They're paying attention. Okay? You have to think of Earth like a reality TV show. They're all watching us. They're watching us evolve. They're watching us change. They're watching us love. Okay? And the only way that we can truly begin to stop all of this, okay, where you can see the results, is that you got to take out the media. You got to take out that propaganda, okay? Because they're in control of the minds. It isn't the physical part, okay? But if you took out the media to the point where, you know, I'm not talking about hurting anybody or burning buildings down here. I'm talking about walking in and pulling the freaking plugs. If you pull all the plugs, it's going to take them at least an hour to get back up. You know? Disrupt it. Rebel. You have to. America has to. You know? I've never felt so passionate about anything in my life because I don't want my children to grow up in this shithole. I want something better, you know? And when my wife asked me, you know, almost 2 years ago now, because I was sitting and complaining about everything and going on in the world, okay? She asked me, what am I going to do about that? Me. And she poked me right in my chest and she looked me square in the eye and said, what are you going to do about it? And I couldn't say anything because I didn't know. And I got really depressed. I was on Prozac. I was on all sorts of medications for the military and PTSD and traumatic brain injury and everything else, okay? If this is what sick looks like, I don't mind being sick, okay? Because I'm not sick. We need to make these changes. And it starts with you and I. It starts with, you know, somebody going out and being kind. You know, today I attempted to be kind, and I felt my heart. We had a homeless guy up here at the convenience store, and I went to go buy some cigarettes. And, you know, I pulled in, I started to get some gas, and he came up and asked me, he goes, "Which direction are you headed?" You know, and I said, "I'm headed back the other way," not the way he wanted. So he just kind of turned around and left. Well, the manager at the convenience store didn't like him sitting there for an hour. It's 97 degrees outside. He's not sitting in the shade. He's sitting on the corner of the parking lot. He has a big cup that is empty, no water, and he has heart issues. And I only know that because I picked him up and I went to go take him to a place that wasn't any better. But because of his heart conditions, I refused to leave him there. And I took him back to the convenience stores, the areas where he was at. And I said a quiet blessing for him. And I asked myself, how come I was not able to help this man get to where he needed to go? Why did I just go in a big circle for this guy? And my higher self told me, because he already has a plan. He didn't need my help. He just needed to get from point A to point B. That was the only help that he needed, and I couldn't help him with that. And in the 10 minutes that he was in my vehicle, okay, I felt everything that this man is going through. And it really hurt him to be kicked to the curb, literally, and then kicked off of the curb for asking somebody which direction that they were going. I apologized to him from one human being to the next, and I gave him $10. It's going to help. It's not going to solve all of his problems, but it's going to help him on his journey. That was my random act of kindness for the day. And I try to do that every day. Okay. 2 days ago, I had a very large random act of kindness. Okay. That was quite unexpected. And I now have a 21-year-old homeless female that lives here with me. Okay. Who needs help direly. Otherwise, she's going to either be dead or in jail and part of the system. We've been down this road before with her, okay, a couple of years ago. This was while we, you know, I didn't know anything about the light except that it was bright when I was, you know, getting up at noon, okay? And so now we decided to, you know, the universe threw her back in her lap and said, hey, she needs some help. All right, I'm going with the flow here. The point with all of this right now is that she came to us. She called me and my wife and asked if she could come because she had hit rock bottom. She was living in a shelter. You know, of course, we said yes. And we're here. We're doing this. And she's going to become my first student, okay, my first personal student. And I'm hoping that she's going to be brave enough to share that experience with you guys, okay? But the world needs to change. And you can change it just by being kind. When you go home and you feel good about yourself, you broadcast that emotion out and you infect everybody around you. You know? It's just like when you're yawning, okay? If I was to yawn here, every single one of you would start yawning that's watching my face. Okay? That's just the way things work. You're broadcasting it. Okay? You have an energetic field. They see it, therefore they want to replicate it, and that's why you start to yawn. Now, the energy, sorry, I'm getting a download. I'm trying to understand it. The energy that you give off when you walk into your room, okay, or you walk into your home, and you didn't give somebody $20, but you maybe gave them a Walmart gift card so they can go and buy whatever they need. Okay, it's not just limited, but you know that you didn't give them cash. Okay, technically that's not giving unconditionally. Okay, because money is the source of what they need, and when you go take that money and put it on a Walmart gift card, you're changing the intent. You're putting conditions on it, and they can only spend that money at Walmart. So even though you might think you're doing a good deed, you're not going to be rewarded from, I say rewarded, but you're not going to get your karmic reward because you don't understand the intent side of it. Okay, it's been so diluted and whatever. You got to go all the way back to the source, okay, which happens to be the money in this case. So giving a gift card or, giving food or things like that is not really what is needed for these people. It's the money. Well, let's change that to tokens, okay? And you can exchange all of these tokens, okay? You can have jobs that pay in these tokens. It can be a piece of paper. Oh, wait, it already is. So let's make it a, let's make a copper currency. There's an idea. Or maybe we can take these little iron bearings that are here and we can, exchange this for something, okay? Because that's all it is. It's just a physical object. And we, as humans, need physical in order to manipulate it, to measure it, to hold it, touch it, smell it, taste it, in order for it to exist. So can you imagine that instead of that paper money that you have or the metal coins that you have, was that you had to carry around one of these as part of your, your currency. And that made you somebody. I don't need this shit, guys. Neither do you. But our current system requires us to have it right now. So we got to work with it. And I'm going to ask you guys to think about paying your taxes to somebody else other than the federal government. We need to remove the root cause of why we're going to war and why we have all this equipment, why we have all these weapons that we don't even know about, or all of these devices that have been weaponized that could have changed humanity since the 50s. The technology has been around since the 50s for flying cars. That's why we had all the advertisement when, like the Jetsons and things like that when we were younger. Okay? It was there. They'd seen it. And then they buried it. Well, we're unburying it. Okay? But instead of using a little spoon to unbury it, okay, we're using earth movers to unbury this stuff. And we're doing it very, very quickly. And we're sharing it in a rapid manner so that we can get the information out there. And when you hear me, or when I post pictures of my drawings or an explanation, okay, I promise you it's going to end up in a textbook someday. Okay, so copy my papers, share them, screenshot them, save them, print them out, do something, because if the internet goes down, those pictures go away, except for what I've got here in my drawings, okay, in the physical side. Now, I know they're all over the world, okay, and I know that every time I save a picture on the internet, it's saved to a hard drive somewhere, okay? And I know that in the future, I'm going to be strong enough, intelligent enough to be able to surf the internet with my mind and find what hard drive my information is stored on and recall it. And so are you, all of you. You all have these abilities, all right? How do you have a bloodless revolution? Get rid of the media, get rid of the propaganda, call all of your veterans who raised their right hand and swore to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Okay? Call you guys up. Okay? Stand in the streets, stand guard at the schools. The police, not every police officer is bad. Okay? For every one bad police officer out there, there are thousands, okay? Thousands that are good, that are doing their jobs, okay? The firefighters, okay? The first four levels in the echelon of, the CIA, the FBI, the White House, all of the top four levels in there, they're all corrupt, okay? Everybody else below that fourth level, they might be trickling in it, but they don't know anything. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to replace the entire government if you didn't want to. But I don't foresee the White House being our point of reference anymore when we look anywhere for the people of America. Okay? We can't even say that we're the United States. We're so divided. We're so... Excuse me. We're so divided, okay? We're so torn apart because of the color of our skin, because of the amount of money that we make, the kind of car that we drive, okay? If you have a disabled child, if you're married, if you're divorced, if you're gay, if you're not gay, if you're decided that you wanted to have a penis instead of a vagina, whatever the idea is here, guys, I don't care. But you're all divided. And the only way you can come together is to take to the streets. And I'm not talking with your guns. I'm not talking with your clubs. Okay? I'm talking with your body. Get out there. Stand in front of these news media organizations. Go in there, unplug it. Because they're only spewing lies. And you know it. But yet you let it continue. We have to do something. And we have to do it now, or you are going to have a lot of blood on American soil. And we're done with that. I've grown up. And I hope you guys do too. I don't have big cities near me right now, okay? I'm 6 hours away from Dallas. I'm 2.5 hours away from Houston. Those are the people that need to be awakened here in Texas, okay? But you have big cities in every state. You have lots of streets. If you wait the police out and you are not violent, okay, they can't or won't do anything for you. But they sure as hell will get really tired because they only have so many police and there are way more people out there. Okay? Don't hurt those guys. Don't push them around. Don't be bullies. Just let them know you're done. Because they don't know how to respond to a peaceful protest. They do know how to respond to violence. They're really, really good at it. Take for instance, my wonderful wife made sure that I told you guys this because this is what she told me. And she goes, it's really funny about this whole Brexit thing is that the country didn't get up and move away. It didn't get up and walk away. It didn't move anywhere. The people didn't go anywhere. Their lives didn't change. When they, there was no physical change. It was an emotional change. Okay? All they had to say was, fuck you. We're done. You didn't see anybody out there raising, Cain and causing havoc, okay? Except the stock market. The stock market is the deciding factor of the cabal right now. Okay, you want to see the lifeline of the cabal? Look at that. Okay, because you don't have any money in that account. Okay, in those stock exchanges, do you? So why the fuck do you care if it goes away? You're still going to have the few dollars that you got in your pocket. Okay, you're still going to have the bit of food that you've got in your pantry. The stock market is just going to be a bunch of papers and numbers that disappear. It's all emotional, right? Oh no, the economic collapse, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I have a whole bunch of these bearings here, okay, that I'll use for currency. All right? I'll give you my love. I'll give you some tomatoes if you bring me a piece of iron. Okay? Because I have a whole lot of tomatoes. I got a whole lot of cucumbers out here too. Okay? Everything else has been kind of wiped away because of the rains and the heat. Okay? But I have them. And if you bring me a piece of iron, or you just come give me a hug, I'll give you some of them. Just like if I got space, I'll give you space in my home. Because it's the right thing to do. Fuck whether it's legal or not. Okay? But we got to stand up, guys. We got to stand up and we got to do something about it. And sure, I'm here in this little room 2 hours away from a big city where I can actually get some attention. Okay? This is the best thing that I can do right now. This is what the universe has told me I need to be doing. And a lot of people will be saved because of this. And I say saved, meaning they're not going to die because you listened to this video, you heard it, you're sharing it. Okay? Anybody knows that I don't sell any of my devices yet. I will. I know how popular they're going to be. And what I don't want is I don't want 6 years worth of work for me because I said, yes, I will sell you a device. Okay? It isn't about the selling part yet. Okay? I needed to share all of my information so those that can build it will. Those that can't will have to be given one by you, the ones that can build it. The time to make a change, to make a decision, is now. And you have to dig deep. And you have to look around you and say, how can I make a difference in my area? Okay? For me, it's random acts of kindness. Okay? Some days it's, I give away, very large tips, especially to workers, like waitresses and waiters that are, doing their job. I give them a really large tip. Even if the ones that are not serving my table, but I see them hustling around and doing things like, the busboy or the cooks that are in the back. I purposely walk up and give them a tip personally and tell them, thank you for cooking my food because it was good. And my food wouldn't taste good unless they did a good job cooking it. So think outside the box. Think about the people behind the scenes. Think about those people that are, behind the register, at McDonald's or, these fast food places that are trying to make a living and survive. Okay? Think about those people that are living in tents right now as refugees. When are you going to get pissed off enough, people? And I'm not talking to my group here, okay, on Zoom. I'm talking to the world right now. And I know the world can hear me because I'm about to cry and I don't like it. Okay? And it's not tears of sadness, it's tears of anger. I'm tired of seeing people hurting. I've given everything that I could give this month. My balance is 0 on all 3 of my bank accounts. I've given everything. I have nothing in savings. And I had to do so in order to help this young lady, in order to help this man, in order to help those other people. because that's what I do. And every month my paycheck comes to me, and I'm not so sure it's going to come next month. So the realization of it's time, and it's time to make a decision, is now. And I don't know how any other way to convey it to you of how important it is to stand up, to just be in numbers in the streets. Because that's how we get heard. Not how we get hurt, but how we get heard and how they listen to us. And we don't need 554 politicians or however many people are running the United States government at this point to run 300 million people. We don't need that. Each of you are responsible for yourself. You go to work every day, you pay your bills, you do all of the things that you're supposed to do, right? Well, what if you weren't supposed to do that in the first place? Now what are you going to do with your life? And if money was no option, what would you do with it? If you could get in your car and drive anywhere you wanted and never had to worry about gas anymore, okay? Where would you go? Oh yeah, and your car would act like a power station, so you can have alternating current and DC. So now you've got your own power supply on wheels, your own power station. What are you going to do with that? You know, where are you going to go? Who are you going to show that to? You see? And I guess that takes a little bit of a break right now, okay? I'm charged up. I need to go ground myself, okay? So I would like to take a 10-minute break, guys. We'll be, it's 9 minutes after right now, according to my computer, all right? And we'll be back in 10 minutes, all right? And then we're going to talk about the Infinity Project Truth Tour. I'm going to let that sit in your mind for a little while, all right? So I'll be back, and you know, don't go anywhere. People come in. Feel free to ask questions among yourself, and you know, if you have questions that you would like for me to answer, then please, you know, send them to Lori on here, and then she can be the one to read off the questions, okay? That way I make sure I get all of them, okay? I got a little tiny screen over here on my laptop that I can't really mess with, okay? I'm technologically stupid when it comes to these things anymore. I used to be really good at it. Anyways, I'll be back in about 10 minutes. I'm gonna go stand outside in the dirt in my bare feet, okay? I would suggest that you guys do the same if you have the opportunity, okay? Or get your grounding devices that you have, all right? So much love, and I'll be back, all right? right. All right. What are you doing? There we go. All right, we're back again. All right. Give me a few minutes and we'll start recording again. Let's see if we can do this right. All right. All of you can go ahead and start recording